Sukhoi Massacre, 8 reasons the Russian Aerospace Forces lost several dozen Su-35 and Su-34 aircraft. One of the greatest surprises from the initial phase of the Russian invasion of Ukraine has been the inability of the Russian Aerospace Forces, VKS, fighter and fighter bomber fleets to establish air superiority. Thank you, and welcome to this channel. If you're new to this channel, please subscribe and click the bell icon to receive a notification when new content is released. Ukrainian forces managed to destroy more than 25 Su-35 fighter jets, 26 Su-34 fighter bombers, and 2 A-50 early warning aircraft since the beginning of the Ukraine war. Russia crashed 9 Su-34 fighter bombers since the beginning of the war. 8 worse features inherited by its design led to the Sukhoi massacre in the Ukraine war. Let's examine why Su-35, Su-34 and A-50 ultimately failed in the Ukraine war. Number 1. Ancient radar and avionics. The lack of an active electronically scanned array radar has been a notable shortcoming of the Su-35. Developed by Fazatron Irby's E-PACER radar, making them potentially worse at tracking and engaging targets at long range, which you can see by their SAR resolution. The aircraft is fitted with the legacy cockpit and Soviet-era avionics. Russia's domestically delivered production variants Su-57 and MiG-35 are fitted with Soviet-era Irby's E and Zhuk M phased array radar because the Russian prototype ESA radar failed the bench test. Hindustan Aeronautics performed a trial of Irby's E-PACER radar for Su-30 Mki and published data showing Irby's E has poor target acquisition capability against air-to-air and air-to-ground targets. Number 2. No electronic warfare. According to the Kret Corporation, Russia's reliance on digital radio frequency memory, DRFM, is the basis for the signals generated by these jamming pods. This is a system by which the threat library of an EU system recognizes the radar signal that it is receiving and mimics back the signal. This method depends on the pulses from adversaries being at a constant frequency at a regular interval. However, modern ESA radar always generates different frequencies, making it harder for Russian DRFM-based radio frequency jammers to track the frequency and make the Kabini electronic warfare system inoperable and useless in actual combat. Number 3. No data link and identification friend or foe. Russia managed to shoot down its own Su-35 and Su-34 fighter bombers. The lack of identification friend or foe, IFF, and data link were two primary reasons the Russian Air Force did not operate in a formation and within occupied territories of Ukraine. The Russian military lacks networking and a common data link amongst forces, creating communication barriers for multi-domain operations in the Ukraine war. The Russian soldiers have been spotted carrying commercial off-the-shelf walkie-talkies and FM band antennas in the battle. Ukrainian forces mucked Russians by swearing and interfering with Russian FM band radios. Number 4. Ancient armament. The Su-35 can only launch semi-active radar homing missiles, specifically the R-27, requiring the fighter to point its nose at the target during the entire duration of the missile. The Su-35 and Su-34 lack the helmet-mounted cueing and off-bore sight capability of the R-73 missile. The air-to-ground capability of the Su-35 is very basic, being able to employ only some guided weapons such as Fab 500 semi-active laser-guided bombs, which is precisely the reason Russia is using older Su-24 fighter bombers fitted with the SVP-24 bomb sighting system. Russian Fab 500 semi-active laser-guided bombs are inaccurate and must fire at a low altitude. Russian Fab 500 bombs have a shorter range that requires pilots to fly close to the battlefield, making them vulnerable to ground-based missile attacks, which is precisely the reason Russia lost 26 Su-34 and 25 Su-35 to Swedish RBS-70 Manpad, Iris-T SLM and Patriot missile system. Number 5. Aircraft's high radar cross-section. Most Western 4.5 generation designs use radar-absorbent materials and modified airframes to reduce radar cross-section, enhancing survivability against all beyond visual range attacks. On the contrary, Su-34 and Su-35 have used the same airframe since the 1980s without any modification and radar cross-section reduction kits. Su-35s with high radar cross-sections appear as big as 15 square meters on modern Western ground-based active electronically scanned array AESA, radar from more than 250 kilometers, making them more vulnerable to ground-based air defense systems. Number 6. Unreliable and smoky engines. The serviceability of the RD-33 and AL-31 engines was one of the main problems that worried most Russian aircraft operated by any country. Indian Auditor General audited Hindustan Aeronautics and reported 17 design issues with Russian origin engines and 21 engine-related design flaws in the Russian MiG-29K and Su-30 Mki, which led to multiple aircraft crashes in India. Number 7. Inadequate and ancient training method. Russian fighter pilots accumulate just 120 total flight hours per year after unit assignment. American pilots, at the same point in their career, are closer to 924 hours per year, according to the Royal United Services Institute, RUSI. Most VKS frontline training sorties involve comparatively sterile environments and simple tasks such as navigation flights, unguided weapon deliveries at open ranges, and target simulation flying in cooperation with the ground-based air defense system. Number 8. Russia lacks early-warning aircraft operation experience. The downing of two A-50 early warning aircraft was devastating for the battered Russian Air Force. The air arm has lost, primarily to Ukrainian long-range surface-to-air missiles, American-made Patriot PAC-2s, in particular, 9 of its best planes in just a month, including an A-50 that the Ukrainians hit over the Sea of Azov in Trudovaya, Armenia, Krasnodar Krai, Russia in January. Conclusion. Many Russian aircraft have some aspect of them hyped up to a degree, but none comes close to the extent of hype with the Su-35 and the Flanker family. Look beneath the propaganda, they don't excel outside the Moscow air shows. Thanks for watching. Thanks for visiting this YouTube channel. Visit globaldefensecorp.com. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, and TikTok.